Are you a woman who runs the world but know you need a little support too? Listen up. Through coaching clients and pursuing my own health and ambitions, I found getting to a goal takes more than just willpower. It takes a mindset restart and learning how to adjust and not quit. In this podcast, you'll hear from women out there leading the way in momentum, and I'll be sharing impactful mindset strategies to help you get out of your own way. Whether you're on a health journey, starting your life after a big change, or trying to keep up momentum towards your passion project with all the ups and downs, this is for you. It's time to decrease the things that hold you back and increase the things that move you forward towards a life that you want. I'm Amber Biebelheimer, and this is the Momentum Restart Podcast. This is episode 82 of the Momentum Restart Podcast, and I have an amazing guest for you today to learn more about podcast guesting. This is a big piece to expanding your network and a piece I encourage every one of my clients to do. I know on the Restart Collective retreats or on Momentum Restart Client, podcast guesting is something that gets put on the list as part of the piece of pie to expand your network. We want to always be thinking past social media, past email marketing, past in-person. We want to piece all of these things together and expanding your reach by getting to have fun conversations with people all over the world and sharing what it is that you're passionate about is a really fun and very impactful way to expand that reach. And that is by podcast guesting. But I know that it can feel so overwhelming. It's the one piece of the pie when we're planning marketing for clients where I see the most hesitation. I see so many women afraid of what am I going to talk about? How am I going to find people to be on their podcasting or their podcast as a podcast guest? And how am I going to make this happen? And are people really going to want to hear what I have to say? All of these things, which is why I have invited Kristīne today from the PodGrow. She is a podcasting expert, strategist, and the founder of the Podcast Growth Agency. Kristīne helps purpose-driven female entrepreneurs, service providers, and coaches elevate their expert status, gain strategic visibility, and generate warm quality leads through her signature podcasting services and her VIP days. She's personally booked over 350 interviews for her clients in less than 2 years. And if you've ever tried to book podcast guesting, that's a large number in 2 years. That is a large number of podcasts to book in 2 years. She absolutely loves helping driven female entrepreneurs go from the best kept secret to helping you be the booked out expert in your industry. She's also a wife, a mom, and the ultimate podcast junkie. And she was so much fun to talk with today. We're going to jump in.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Kristīne, and I am podcast guesting expert and strategist, and also founder of the Podcast Growth Agency, which is shortened just for the PodGrow. What I do is I help purpose-driven female entrepreneurs, coaches, and service providers to really gain strategic visibility, elevate their authority, and generate really warm quality leads through podcast guesting, and also outside of social media, essentially. And more about me, I'm also a wife, a mom. Actually, I'm soon to be a mom of two. And I'm, yes, and I'm, yes, thank you so much. And I'm actually based in Europe, Latvia. So maybe that's why you kind of can hear my accent sneaking a little bit. But yeah, I actually recently counted that during like 3+ years I've been in a business, I have booked over 500+ interviews for myself, for my clients. And I have been directly responsible also for countless additional collaborations outside of podcast interviews. That's why I love podcast guesting so much, because these opportunities rarely present themselves, just by having an email here and there. So that's why I'm incredibly passionate about helping, female entrepreneurs really gain strategic visibility and become the go-to authority in their field using, podcast guesting as a major marketing tool, essentially.
And I know it's important to make sure that the podcasts that you're on are aligned, that they really fit your industry and who you are. And is that really something that's going to make a difference if you're more aligned with your podcast guest? And how do you know?
Yes, I love this question because I have literally like a whole strategy behind it. I call it like research and validation method, because definitely you can't skip this step because you want to make sure you are actually guesting on the right podcast rather just wasting your time and energy and resources guesting on random shows and then just like, okay, nothing happens. I guess this marketing strategy don't work, but it's not true. It totally works. It's just you have to be in front of aligned people that will actually care about what you have to say and are actually interested in solutions you have to offer. So for this, I always say that you have to be clear on two things even before you start pitching process. So this is the basics when it comes to creating your outreach strategy, as I like to call it, for your podcast guesting campaign. You have to be super clear, first thing, on who your ideal client is and like get really specific here. I don't want you to just kind of be like, oh, I'm just a nutritionist or I'm just a business coach. Nutritionist for who and who you are working with, right? Be kind of pretty specific about who is your ideal client. And also step number 2, you have to be super clear also on how you are helping them. Okay, so you kind of understand what are their biggest pain points and how essentially you can reflect all of that into your speaking topics and where is the gap for your message, right? Because with that, you will actually start the research and validation process so you can understand like where is the gap for you, right? I actually, when I just received kind of like your idea on this interview, I actually have a few touch points that I would like to share of like literally how I teach my clients on podcast validation. So I have a few questions that I want to go through. So yeah, listeners can just like grab a piece of paper and pen and literally write this down because this will literally help them. Yeah. So first things, yeah, like I say, what is show's target audience and is it aligned with mine target audience? Super important. So if you are a business coach for health coaches, let's make sure that this show is full of health coaches, right? Second, is there a gap for me and my message and how can I serve this specific audience? So go through, their previous episodes, see what they're talking about, try to determine if, there's a gap for you and how can you bridge the gap between you and them? How can you adapt your speaking topics because this is kind of essential because what I see sometimes I will use the same topic, I will just adapt it for a specific audience and I'm booked. For example, we had a client that she serves she's a health and business mentor, but she mainly talks about health topics and how health is connected with our wealth. And she has two main like target audiences, like female ambitious entrepreneurs and then real estate agents or women lawyers. And we literally adapt the same interview topic on how your gut health and stress affect your business performance as a real estate agent or just simply as an ambitious like woman entrepreneur, and that's all. And this small like details makes like a huge difference. So be really specific about who you are targeting, and you also have to be aware of who you are targeting. Yes. Then the next kind of question that you can use is super simple. Does this show accept guests, right? Is it solo episodes only, or do they accept guests? And also, does this show's message really in core message align with mine? Like go check the social media from hosts, like see what their values are, see if you are just personally connected with them, because if there's a total misalignment in all ways, there's not going to be a great dynamic between you two, and there's just no way that it's going to be a great lead gen for you, basically.
And how do you track what's working and what's not with podcast guesting? How do you measure that growth?
So for tracking, I actually like to track, let's say, podcast guesting results in two major categories. So one is like tangible results. With tangible results, I mean results that I could put a certain number on it, like email list growth, like social media growth, like my sales calls like are growing, like the book discovery calls are growing, and essentially my sales are growing, or KPIs, like key performance indicators, everything is growing basically. And then there's like intangible results. You can't really put a number on them, but you see them, you feel them. So these are things like host asked me to be on a show again, or host reached out and asked me to be a guest speaker in their mastermind. Or I just, from my podcast interview, I booked another guest speaking gig. Or I just feel like my confidence grown so much, and I get really super clear on my message now after I've done like 10 plus shows. So all of these things are really like intangible things. We can't really put a number on them, but we feel them, we see they're growing, and that's the shows that we are working. And how I like to actually track that, what I also suggest to my clients, it's just super simple. It's just having a simple, let's say, Google sheet. If you love using Google everything. Just literally start tracking like month by month or week by week if you are super data-driven person. Let's say you are tracking every month, okay? And you are tracking, okay, yeah. And you are tracking when your episodes released, basically, okay? And then in the just right next to that, you have a columns of like number of email lists, like your email list, like your social media, like numbers, month by month by month, what happened. And after 3-6 months, you will start noticing how these two categories are correlating with each other. So you will see, okay, let's see what happened in March. Oh, I actually had 2 podcast episodes gone live in March. Oh, I actually see a spike in my email list or spike in my social media. Why is that? Now I see I actually had 2 episodes aired in March. Or let's see what happens in May. Nothing really happened in May, but I recorded 2 episodes, but none of them were live yet. So also I see that my email list, was not so, wasn't growing a lot. And I kind of see the correlation between those 2 categories and how they are connected. So with time, you will definitely see that, is this working or is this not working? And with more time, you will actually understand, okay, these are types of shows I actually been on, and these shows been released. I actually see that these types of shows work better rather than these types of shows. And I can go even deeper and see, okay, these shows were for coaches mainly, but maybe these shows were more general, but with bigger audiences. What can I take from this, right? So now I can see that, hey, actually coaches are really responding really well about my message, rather than just a general audience, like let's say like women entrepreneurs, and that's it. So you can also adjust your target audience that way. You can also adjust your whole marketing campaign based on this data, actually.
This has been extremely valuable today. I know everyone is going to be able to take away so much, whether they're already podcast guesting or they're just dreaming about podcast guesting. You've helped us so much. I really appreciate everything that you've shared with us today.
Yes, I love that. So thank you so much. I really enjoyed spending time with you. And yes, for everyone who is looking to get into podcasting, you can find me at the PodGrow on Instagram. And I'm an Instagram girl. I mainly hang out there. And also the podgrow.com. It's my website. And I have actually a course coming up soon. So you can, sign up for my wait list for the course. I can share the details in the show notes. I will literally walk you through how to do it, how to do this work effectively and get booked on aligned podcasts and be really in-demand guests rather than just hearing crickets in your inbox all the time and thinking, okay, what's wrong with me? So yeah, this is what I have been working on for a long time now. So I would be happy to share it with the listeners. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here today, Kristīne. And for everyone listening, if you want more information, head to the link in our show notes and you'll be able to contact Kristīne directly. I appreciate you being here. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Bye.